Have you heard the recent study that red meat causes diabetes? This is only a few days old. It came out of Harvard University, and it's been all across the news. And before you throw up your hands and go, okay, I give up, where's the closest Twinkie? Let's look at this study, and let's see what's wrong with this study. When you look at what's called epidemiological studies, the good news is there are lots of people that are evaluated. And so in this study there was over 200,000. But epidemiology is looking at the distribution of diseases and conditions in certain populations. Now this study, this Harvard study, looked at two ongoing epidemiological studies. One is the Nurses' Health Study. There's another one as well. And these are individuals who get surveys to fill out somewhat regularly about their diet and their lifestyle. And so they get to accumulate a lot of information. And that part is good. The problem with this is that it's an expression called healthy user bias. So when you're looking at somebody who's inherently healthier, I just realized I don't have a light on. Hold on one second. Okay, that's better. When you're looking at certain healthy populations, there can be certain activities that healthy people do as a part of their healthy lifestyle, and then therefore looking at other populations, you can attribute to the other population something that is not present enough, but so much more in the unhealthy population that you say, oh, something like red meat causes diabetes. So in this particular group that they were looking at, what they found was the people that ate the most red meat also smoked the most, weighed the most, drank the most, did not take supplements. They happened to look at if you took a multivitamin or not. What else was there? Ate the least amount of fruit. So all of those habits happen to come with higher red meat ingestion. So of course, the better thing to do would be to look at high red meat, lower red meat, and then have everything else be the same. So unfortunately, there was such a big discrepancy in these two groups that it might have been a bit unfair to attribute the diabetes increase in this unhealthy group to simply, what? Red meat intake. Because they smoked, they weighed more, they drank more, they didn't exercise as much, their weight was higher, they didn't eat fruit, they didn't take supplements. So there was a lot of negatives in this particular group's lifestyle. So you can see the problem with that, right? And also what was very, very interesting, what's the big out point? Like when you think about diabetes, what do you want to know? You say, well, typically a group with, they're eating the sugary foods, they're having more dessert, they're having more highly processed simple carbohydrates, and what else are they doing? They tend to be drinking more soda. So of all these metrics that they looked at in these populations, the study did not include how much, soda pop they drank and how many desserts, sugary foods they ate, simple carbohydrates, highly processed food. That wasn't part of their metric. So huge gap in our understanding right there, because we could almost go to the bank on the fact that in addition to smoking more, not exercising, weighing more, and drinking more, they probably also consumed more soda and more simple carbohydrates. And it's funny because just yesterday I did a video on higher fat with either choosing, I termed it was either choose your poison, heart disease, or diabetes, coming from this idea that as soon as you're decreasing saturated fat, you're increasing simple carbs and sugar, and therefore, pick your poison. You're either going to get heart disease or you're going to get diabetes, which is ridiculous because there is such a thing as moderation, looking at quality, looking at quantity, and really creating a healthy diet that works. Diet's a four-letter word. It is. And what we want is lifestyle. I like that better, where you're really finding something that gets you to a healthy metric of how all your organs are functioning, and so you look healthy as far as metrics are concerned, but you feel great, you've got great energy, you're sleeping well, cognitive function, on and on and on. It is all right there where you want it. And you can do that and have an enjoyable lifestyle, an enjoyable food intake. And it doesn't have to be, oh, fat's bad, sugar's bad, I might as well stop eating, you know. Or the people say, you know, it's just not worth it to me. I just want to eat what I eat, and I'm going to die of something. You've all heard that. Kind of makes me crazy, because it really doesn't have to be that way. So what did we learn from this study? I think it's interesting to see that the higher red meat, I mean, this was it was like 216,000 people. So followed for several years. So it is interesting to see that Americans, these were all Americans, who consumed more red meat concomitantly at the same time are the people who weigh more, exercise less, smoke more, drink more, don't take vitamins. They also looked at women taking bioidentical hormones because, as I said, one of the epidemiological studies is the Nurses' Health Study, so they're looking at female hormones, etc. This was male and female, by the way, in this group of over 216,000. And you know, it's interesting to see that they do tend to go together. But does that mean that you can't have any red meat? And, oh, and I left out a really important one. They also ate more processed red meat. So the salami, the bologna, pastrami, you know, whatever all those are. Because what we do know about the processed red meat, on top of the saturated fat in red meat, but processed red meat is very linked to cancer. And what I also talk about a lot on this channel is the fact that what's good to prevent heart disease, our number one killer, is also good to prevent diabetes, is also good to prevent cancer. So what's good for one is good for all. So that's, you know, it's important to look at. So also this group, this unhealthy group, was eating more of these meats that were highly processed, which we know have a carcinogenic risk, so therefore putting us in that unhealthy category. So that's of interest. So are you an oddball if you actually consume fruit and you exercise and you hardly drink and you don't smoke and you weigh less and you have some occasional very high quality red meat? Yeah, you are kind of an oddball in this country. But could you have some red meat, watching your saturated fat intake, keeping that percentage of saturated fat, which you went over yesterday, at that sort of 7 to 8% of your total calorie intake? Yeah, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. And I think that's really what we have to focus on, like these sexy titles, and I'm guilty because I want you to see the video. So, you know, I did entitle this video "Red Meat Causes Diabetes," but hopefully the content will speak to you, because the point is that it's not this one food, one disease. It is a lifestyle. It is what you're doing across the board. It is quality. It is quantity. So it's not this bad, this good. It's not that simple. Yet, what is simple are the stable data of what is considered a healthy diet. So there's not excess in saturated fat. There is a lot of complex carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes. There are nuts for polyunsaturated fat. There is monounsaturated fat from olive oil and avocado. Harkens to the Mediterranean diet. You're not consuming much sugar. You're not consuming a lot of processed foods, hopefully none. You know, packaged, highly processed foods. You're not doing simple carbohydrates, you're doing the complex carbohydrates. You know, in each category of carb, protein, fat, there's only a few areas that you want to, yes, do more and then do less on this side, and you'll have a healthy diet. You truly, truly will. And then there's nuances that we learn as more research comes out. But this study was unfair, and it's a shame, you know, like all this data, and they leave out some really key points. So hopefully you found this of interest. Don't freak out. Don't just throw your hands up in dismay and go, forget it, doesn't matter what I eat, I give up. That's not the case, you know. It doesn't have to be that hard. If you need help, I'm here for you. My team is here for you. If you like the content, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so more people can see this content